Public comments? Yes, sir.
I have a few questions, and I'll try to be as brief as possible.
Okay.
Because as I always do when I come to these meetings, I want to get a clarification. So I have a few questions which could be answered yes or no quite easily. I have a question for Mr. Smith, and a few things I'd like to address to Mrs. Hood. Okay? All right.
As long as it's fairly timely. Go ahead.
Okay. Are you planning on raising fees? The Sentinel says there's a recent disclosure to raise fees starting with the landfill. I asked Rusty Christensen, have the fees been raised in the landfill? He says no. The question is, do you plan on raising fees?
I'll respond to that if I may, since I'm the one who brought that up. I asked Rusty several meetings ago, I don't remember exactly, but if he would take a look and see how our fees, if they're in line with the landfill fees for the counties around us. And he did that. He reported back that our fees were completely in line with the rest of them. This Board of County Commissioners has not brought up anything about raising fees at the landfill or anywhere else. I can't speak for my cohorts up here, but the question was the fees that we're charging commensurate with the surrounding areas? The answer was yes. As far as I was concerned, it dropped right there.
So the answer is no.
Right.
Thank you.
I would like to further address that. This was a question they raised because down the road we're going to be doing something with the landfill. We have a limited lifetime out there. We're either going to have to spend some money and dig some more pits, go to a collection point, or do something. And when that occurs, it's going to be a fairly sizable investment. And my sense is my colleagues were looking at this only as a source of revenue to start to plan for the future. Now, as often happens, we have people here in the room today who have an issue like this that comes up. Are you going to? Immediately, their take on it is, yes, you are. Oh my God, the world's coming to an end. And that's not the facts. So we have not considered them. I see no reason to raise them at this point in time. I have two primary concerns with that. One of them, if we increase the landfill fees, we're going to increase wildcat dumping. And I do not want to see that happening in our county. Number two, the landfill last year cost us about $18,000 only out of the county funds to maintain. And that's one of the cheapest county services. It's almost a cash flow. And as long as we're in that position, if it were costing us $150,000 or $200,000, it would certainly be a different story.
So the answer is no.
The answer is,
Thank you.
is no.
Next question. Did you plan, or are you planning to ram down the throats of the citizens of this county a dark skies ordinance with penalties, fines, bomb your house, or whatever?
I would all start, maybe I'll probably want to
And the
respond to
question
that.
is, are you planning on passing an ordinance?
The answer right now is no. And the background on that was what was proposed was a proposed ordinance from a citizens group. And from there, it's just snowballed to where we're going to do it. And
Into hysteria.
And as I am, until it becomes a board of items for discussion of Board of Commissioners, my position is that no decision has been made, and I don't consider it.
May I address that? I'm going to defer to Clint. It's light pollution. I know that people like to refer to it as dark skies, but it is. Dark Skies is an organization, okay? And we already currently have an ordinance in place, and the question was brought to us, could that be modified? And we are still in process. So I don't believe that this board is in a position to say yay or nay until we have due process. And I'll defer to Clint in case he wants to add something.
Well, let's get the terms right. It's not an ordinance. It's never been proposed as an ordinance. We have a zoning resolution, the Custer County zoning resolution, that has language regulating light pollution in the county. The proposal is to modify or amend the zoning resolution regarding regulation of light pollution. That's where it's at. There was a presentation by the organization I'm involved in, Dark Skies, back in April, and then in June there was that first presentation was called a workshop. In June there was a public meeting where there was input from the public. the next step in the process was to refer it to the Planning Commission. That's where it is now. It's been referred to the Planning Commission. There was a draft of a proposal, and that's all it was just a rough draft. It was something to give everybody a starting point as to what we might be looking at in terms if the zoning resolution is going to be modified at all. But now it was still in the very early stages. It's gone to the Planning Commission. They will do their studies and investigations and hold their public meetings, and eventually, probably a few months down the road, make a recommendation. But even if there is any action taken, number one, it's not going to be an ordinance. It's going to be amending the zoning resolution. That's different.
Which doesn't have penalties of law.
No, there are penalties on it, but I can tell you that the zoning resolution, the way that has operated, as even though there are potential penalties in there, that's because you have to have some kind of a hammer at some point in time. I mean, you can't just say, well, okay, everybody's just going to do this voluntarily. But the historical fact is there has never been a prosecution, at least during Jackie Hobby's time, and I think she's been planning and zoning director for 7 or 8 years. If there are violations, she talks to people, she works things out with them. We have never had to go to court on anything. We've never fined anybody. Nobody has ever gone to jail for a violation of the zoning resolution. But the language is there. It is there in case you run into a problem.
But at the same time, though, this has been no action by the board. We have not addressed any of these issues per se. This was in the proposal that was sent forward. So are there penalties? No, because we have not addressed those.
Well, the 2 points.
Is that
Number
fair?
one, the people of
Sure.
this county do not want the government telling them what kind of light bulbs they can use. That's number one. Number two, I'm given to understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, that there is no light pollution in this county. Am I correct in that, Mr. Smith?
You know, I could debate this with you for quite some time, but wait, no, just wait a second. This is in the early stages, and I just don't want to have to deal with this issue every time we have a meeting right now. It's with the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission is going to have hearings on it. Go to those hearings. Dark Skies, the people from Dark Skies are certainly going to be there, and they're going to advocate for what they want. All these questions can be addressed then. I mean, I could talk to you about this. I can talk to you about it privately if you want, but
That's
it's...
fine. I just want to know if the Sentinels claim that you're going to ram this down our throats. Is the answer no?
The answer is no.
Thank you.
Would the Sentinel have any, you're the reporter, would you have any response to that?
I don't remember the Sentinel saying that you guys were trying to ram anything down their throat, but I don't write the entire Sentinel, so I can't really answer that.
All right,
I'd love to see where we said that.
thank you.
I can quote you.
Okay, well, let's
If we're
talk
gonna-
another time.
let's not-
We can talk another
We can get
time.
into this if we need to as an agenda item, folks. I want to, this is
Mr. Katnick, the commission,
please go on, I don't mean to
commission is
interrupt
being
you.
attacked. And reasons are given for your recall. I'm going through them to determine what's true, what's
No,
not.
please, I appreciate it,
This
please
is why
continue that.
This is why I'm here.
No, what I'm saying, I don't want to get into an argument between the two as to what's,
I'm not arguing, I'm just was gonna quote, but I don't have to.
please go ahead. You got, please go ahead. If you want to quote, feel free to.
No, I don't want to.
Okay.
I can or I can't. What would you like?
If you'd like to, go ahead. I'm giving you permission. But the importance of this, folks, is not to get into long discussions. We need to get into issues.
Well, I don't either.
Just a
That's why I
second.
wanted yes or no answers, and I don't have to do this, and I'm
Well,
fine. I don't
just
want
a
to take a lot of
second.
your time.
Just a second. No, go forward with this. If we need to, our policy has been if we need to go into an agenda item, we can certainly do that also. Please,
Okay,
go ahead.
okay. The commissioners are trying to ram down our throats a dark skies ordinance for Custer County, and it goes on.
Okay.
And who was the author?
George Grimlich.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Okay, thank you. I think this is a question for Mr. Smith. Has the commission illegally had, what do you call it, closed sessions? What do you call it, executive sessions, closed sessions, what do you call them?
Executive session.
Has the commission been holding executive sessions illegally? Have your executive sessions been illegal? Mr. Smith?
No.
Thank you. Next thing. Mrs. Hood, I don't know you, so I'm just going to give you information.
Okay.
I'm hearing all sorts of bad stuff about you. Okay, and don't construe from what I'm about to say that I agree with it or believe it. I'm just delivering it. And then I have a couple things to say to you. I hear you're arrogant, demanding, you're a bully, you're full of yourself. Several friends of mine come and say they've observed your behavior in restaurants and whatever, and that you're very eccentric. None of that bothers me. I don't care. What I care about is that I hope that doesn't become the impetus for misusing any power, and I am not accusing you of doing this. I don't care if you're eccentric. So was Socrates. Okay? But what I do want to say to you is that you have a business out there called Painted View, I believe.
A Painted View Ranch.
You have a number, and I don't know how many, each year of events out there. Those events bring a decent amount of money into this county. In other words, what I'm saying is, you just had the...
31.
Thank you. The restaurants are full. The motels are full. Your organization brings in, as from my perspective, a lot of outside money which finds its way into the pockets of local businesses. I'm correct in that, right?
Right?
Okay.
May I add something to
You
that?
may.
I would like to say that for 10 years now, since we started doing major events like that, I think the ranch has created an economic stimulus package for the entire county, not just the two towns. We fill beds with heads. The restaurants are full. We also employ and bring on, we had 18 people helping with that event. So we brought on more people. We used the bakery. We used the flower shop to help with the event. We had potable water, oak disposal. I could go on.
Caterers.
But actually, we had 3 fundraising events, 2 from the Cattle Women's Organization and 1 from our local Rotary Club. In the evenings, they had dinner, and they were fundraisers for those organizations. So as the community person that I am, I believe in collaborating and partnering with everybody to be successful.
So my assertion that you're bringing money into the community, which is good for the economy, is correct, right?
Yes, sir?
Okay, I have one more thing to say to you. When I was researching this with Mrs. Hobby, Mrs. Donna Hobby, who's very patient and very kind, Mr. Prince's rebate back to the community of his health insurance and his pension plan, I left her office and then it came to me. I seem to recall that Mrs. Hood also said that she would not take the raise. So I go back to Ms. Hobby. And I said, Donna Hood said she wasn't going to do it. She says, yes, but it's a different thing. And she totally confused me. And by the time I got it unraveled, here's what I found out. Your compensation package, and forgive me, I didn't write the whole figures down. I'm speaking roughly, is $85,000. $12,000 and something is health insurance. 20-something hundred is pension, or the retirement plan. And 60-some thousand is your salary, which includes the raise. But I did not know, not only have you refused the pension plan and the $12,000 health insurance, you are giving back to this county every penny of your $60-some thousand salary in a special account, which when Mrs. Hobby, I believe, brings you bills or whatever, you write checks out of your account to pay for. You just recently paid $40-some hundred for computers, if I'm not mistaken, or if she's not mistaken. Is that correct?
Let me tell you what I've donated back to the county from my salary after taxes. Before I became county commissioner, I met with Mr. Niquette and Donna to make sure that what I wanted to do was okay on our books. And that is donating back
To the county.
in the general fund. They have created a line item for income donations, which is me. And anybody can see this on record, okay? Anybody can see what I do. My first checks took care of the computers that you see.
So my point is,
Well,
They
let me just tell you what
Oh,
all
you
I've
finished?
done.
Forgive me.
No, I'm not done.
I'm sorry.
My next checks went to the window treatments of the community center because the commissioners before me never planned on protecting our valued asset in any way, shape, or form as far as heat and cold that we have to deal with all year round. So I donated over $6,000 for 29 window treatments. My next check went to the capital campaign and assets for our fair board. I donated $5,000 for capital assets to the fair board. My next checks that I'm accumulating are going to go towards the hardware that will happen for our SIPA grant that we got, which is to have video streaming right here so that all of our citizens can be active and that the reports that are given here by the papers are not skewed in any way, which they have been. So you will be able to interact with the Board of County Commissioners, and it's going to be about $7 to $10 grand for the hardware that will take. And that's where my next checks will go.
so my point in saying that you're donating all of your compensation back to the citizens of this county is correct.
Correct.
Thank you. That's all.
Is that it?
Now, oh, there's one more thing. Thank you for doing that.
You're
By the
welcome.
time you and Jay Printz finish your terms, you will have donated back to the citizens of this county just a couple of thousand dollars, under $400,000. 300, I've added it up, and I'm sorry to read, $398,000 that you would have given back to the citizens of this county.
Correct.
The citizens of this county.
Correct.
Thank you.
I would like to make one other statement. Since I was elected and sworn in, I've never taken any of the county insurance monies.
I didn't know that.
I haven't since day one. Okay.
That's $12,000 a year, isn't it?
Correct.
Thank you. So, let me retotal my figure. It's going to be well over $400,000 that the three of you are giving back to this county, compensation to which you are legally entitled. Correct?
Correct.
Hope that's in the minutes.
Correct.
Thank you. I'm done.
Next.